Hey guys, it's Janie. Welcome back to the Bookworms Buddy. It is time for my August wrap up. Okay, so I only ended up reading 7 books last week. I'm not sure how that happened, but that's what happened. Anyway, so let's get started going through these books. The very first book I started the month off with was At the Heart of It. This is by Tawna Fenske. I think that's how you say that. This book I actually got from Colleen Hoover's store. We went to Sulphur Springs last year, and she has a bunch of new authors' books in there, and they're all signed. So I picked this one up because it sounded good. So in this book we're following Kate, and she has a reality TV show that she airs. And in order for her to get through life, she always follows the advice of Dr. Vivian. Like she follows it to the T, and it helps her get through stuff. So then one day she meets up with a man named Jonah. They go out on a date, they have a good time, and then come to find out he is going to be on one of her reality shows, and he is the ex-husband of Dr. Vivian. And she is just does not know what to do about the situation. She doesn't know how to handle it, but she knows that she's starting to have feelings for Jonah, so they start sneaking around the set and that sort of thing. So it's just pretty much your rom-com kind of story. It was alright. I only rated this one 3.5 stars, but it was okay. The next book that I read was Gallery of the Dead by Chris Carter. This is book number 9 in the Robert Hunter Thriller series. And again, smashing success, Mr. Carter. In this book, our serial killer is making art when he is choosing his victims, but he does it gently. Like, he makes sure that they are dead first before he starts to take body parts and stuff like that. So, Robert Hunter has to end up teaming up with the FBI to track down the serial killer. Another very good story. Very good writing. Thank you, Mr. Carter. Really enjoying that series. The next book that I read was More Than This by Patrick Ness. So in this book, a boy drowns, and he wakes up alive somewhere else, some place that's just not normal. Like, I pictured this as like a very gray world that he was in. He does meet other people. He's trying to figure out what is going on. Am I dead? Is this hell? Where am I at? And that's pretty much the story, trying to figure things out. It was okay. It wasn't something that just really blew my mind. I gave it 3.5 stars. I do like Patrick Ness's writing style. I just think that maybe this one just wasn't as good as the other ones, I guess. I don't know. Other people may have really liked this one, but 3.5 stars, that's still pretty good. It was a decent read. It's definitely worth the read. The next book that I read was Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. It was my sister that actually turned me on to this book. She heard lots of things about this, how it's just mind-blowing. And it was a very good story, but I feel like I've read other books that were more mind-blowing than this one. In this book, we are following Jason, and Jason is married and has a son, and they're just, sitting around one evening, and he decides to go to this person. It's a work related person. They're not really friends. They're just kind of know each other through the workplace. Well, he got a promotion. He's throwing this big shindig, so he decides to go. He goes there, stays a little bit, ends up walking back home and gets jumped. Somebody attacks him. And then he wakes up flat out on a gurney, and he is somebody that he's not. They all see him as somebody different than who he is. He also discovers he's no longer married. His son was never born. and it does get trippy. It's not what I expected it to be. So that's all I'm going to say. I don't want to ruin this for other people that might want to read it. Go into it blindly, and you won't be disappointed. It was very good. 4 stars. The next book I read was The Only One Left by Riley Sager. This is kind of a Lizzie Borden kind of story. You have Kit, who gets hired to look after Lenora Hope, is what her name is. And she was accused of killing her entire family, but she was never convicted. And that's the same story as it was with Lizzie Borden. Still a mystery of who it was that actually killed her parents. Because Lizzie Borden was also never convicted. So this is very Lizzie Borden-ish, and I really enjoyed the story. It did start off a little slow for me, though. This one did. So I was glad that it did finally pick up, and I really ended up enjoying the story. There was a lot of twists and turns in this one. The further you get in, and your mind is just reeling. So yeah, if you get a chance to read that one, very good. The next book that I read was The Good Girl Complex by Elle Kennedy. This is another college romance. I think that's pretty much all Elle Kennedy writes. This one, I really did enjoy the story. It was very entertaining, but it's very high schoolish to me. So we're following Mackenzie, and Mackenzie made herself a millionaire by this website that she put up. It's kind of like a boyfriend-girlfriend fails kind of website, and it's got a lot of followers, and of course, you know, it's pay for it to get in there. And her family is also well off, but they're very demanding. Her boyfriend is very exhausting, and she just needs something different in her life. Well, then she meets Cooper. Cooper is from the wrong side of the tracks, okay? They don't have a lot of money. They have to work hard for everything. Nothing is ever handed to them. And one day, this guy gets him fired from his job because he was just always touching this girl Stephanie, who was a really good friend of Cooper's. It was like kind of like a bar that he worked in, and she would go serve, and he was always just had his hands all over all the time, and it finally just got him really ticked off, and he went over and told him what he thought, and so the guy got him fired because it's kind of like one of those things where his dad owns the whole boardwalk kind of thing, and they can shut him down if you don't get rid of this guy kind of thing. So he had no choice but had to fire him. And then Cooper makes a deal with his buddies that they're going to go date Mackenzie, which is this guy's girlfriend, and make her break up with him so he can be shamed. That's the high schoolish part. And the story just goes on. He does hook up with Mackenzie, and she starts to really like him, but she is loyal to her boyfriend to the end of time, even though he's exhausting. And then the story just goes on from there. I ended up rating it 4 stars. I think that was a little generous because it did get they're getting a little tedious with the whole college thing, and then these kids acting like they're high schoolers. But, I mean, like I said, it was entertaining. And then the last book that I read in August was I Will Find You by Harlan Coben. I love Harlan Coben. This one did start a little slow for me, but it did pick up. So in this book we're following David, and David was accused of and convicted of murdering his 3-year-old son. They found his body in his bed, and he went to prison. And he didn't mind because he couldn't believe that he killed his own son. It happened overnight, but they were thinking, you know, maybe he blacked out because he did have sleepwalking episodes in his life and that kind of stuff, but he swears he never would have harmed his son, but he ended up going to prison. His wife Cheryl moved on, remarried, and his sister-in-law one day comes to visit and has a photograph. And in that photograph is a young boy who is about 8 years old that looks exactly like his son Matthew. This inspires him to break out of prison and go find his son. And that is pretty much the story. Really enjoyed this one once it picked up. Back to good old Harlan Coben style. Really enjoyed the story. Ended up giving that one 4 stars. And that is what I read in the month of August. If you guys have read any of these books that I talked about today, let me know in the comments below. Let me know what your August was like. But that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you for staying tuned, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.